Hi guys, my name is Sue. I just finished my third year at Emory University. I have a lot of things to say about that, particularly because I have a lot of emotions in general, but also because I have a lot of feelings about attending Emory as a whole. I'm really lucky that I'm able to attend an amazing school, but I feel like there's a lot of things that should be said about it. My freshman year, I wrote a transfer essay so I can go to another school, but also in that same week, I cried because I didn't want to go home for break because I loved Emory so much. So I've felt pretty much everything in between, from hating it, to being angry at it, to being sad, to loving it so much. I just wanted to sort of lay out my favorite things and some of the worst things about Emory, just in case you were considering about attending, or maybe you are a student and you've just never thought about these things. Just something that I wanted to point out. I actually lean more towards liking Emory, even though I really enjoy complaining about it. As a whole, I think it was the right choice for me given the situation that I was in when I was picking the school. And also, I've been enjoying my years here and am looking forward to my senior year. Just want to put it out there that I've never made a YouTube video, so I'm sorry if this is like a little awkward, but also I feel like this is going to be really long because I have a lot of things to say. If that is the case, I will edit a lot of it out, or I will put timestamps at the bottom so that you can just skip ahead to some interesting parts. The three main things I want to talk about are pros and cons of Emory, and then some other things. I don't know what to call them. I want to say like neutral things. They're either good or bad depending on how you view them. And then finally, my final rating of Emory, what I would give it on a score sheet. So with that being said, let's just go right in. Let's talk about some of the pros of Emory. Right off the bat, the best thing about Emory is that it is beautiful. When I first toured Emory, I was a freshman in high school and I hadn't seen that many colleges before, but I knew that this college was particularly just gorgeous. All of the buildings have been redone pretty recently. There's a beautiful pink marble facade going on in a lot of the buildings. And if you stand at certain buildings, you can see like the Atlanta skyline, and the quad is really nice. I think a lot of things are kept well on the outside, especially during seasons where there's a lot of student tours, which is what I noticed, which is like the springtime. So yes, Emory is very beautiful. Going off of that, Emory has really great dorms, just something that I want to point out, especially the underclassmen dorms, so beautiful. You can look them up, like LSM, Few Evans, Raoul, great dorms. I lived in Alabama my first year. It was the dorm that I had visited when I was touring there for the first time, which is crazy because at the time obviously I didn't know that 4 years later I was going to live there. I think the second time that I toured Emory at Accepted Students Day, they showed Dobbs Hall, which is smaller, and the room kind of looked like a Pottery Barn catalog where everything was like crammed together. I think a lot of Emory students enjoy complaining about the lesser halls. Those would be like Woodruff, Dobbs, and Complex. I've lived in Woodruff. I would say it's really not bad at all. I think that the lesser halls in Emory are pretty average in most schools. They're small, it's cramped, you might get some bugs or whatever, but the beautiful halls are just so great. I think that's why a lot of people complain about those other halls, but I mean, once you live there, it's fine. There's really not that big of a problem. And this past year, I was really lucky to live on Claremont at URC, and it is beautiful. I have to say, like, it honestly looks like a country club. I look out the window and there's like beach volleyball courts and a big open pool and like a field where people are playing frisbee. So I think I'm just really lucky to live there, and I think Emory just has really great dorms in general. Another thing I love about Emory is the diversity. I think diversity is one of the things at Emory that they have done really, really well. I see a lot of people of different backgrounds, and I meet people from countries that I had never met someone from there before. Diversity was a big deal for me. I think it's because I came from a relatively diverse high school and I was concerned about going to a college where I would be culture shocked, I think. If you look up the most diverse colleges in the US, Emory is up there definitely. If you look at the admission statistics for each class, they have a breakdown of who has entered the new school year, and you'll see that never is white the majority. So of all the non-majorities, white is the biggest category, but it never overwhelms the other categories, if that makes sense. I myself, being a minority, just really enjoy having different diverse backgrounds of people. I will insert a small clip of my friend group. We're really heckin' diverse. We could be on the brochure for admissions if you want to reach out to me, Emory Admissions. But yeah, I think most people can agree that there are a lot of diverse backgrounds and a lot of diverse friend groups, and every class you go to there's a lot of diverse people, so it's never just saturated with one group. When I came to Emory, I was really concerned that everyone was going to be super competitive. I heard that a lot of kids at Emory were like the top of their class in high school, and so I thought when I got to Emory, everyone was going to be competing for grades, and that is so not the case, and I'm so thankful for that. Emory is just not that competitive as a whole, I think. That's just the generalization that I've found in my classes. I think Emory is competitive to get into, so a lot of students are fighting to get into Emory, but once we're in, I think we're really collaborative. Like, people work together, people will share like study guides and notes, and if you've missed a class, like, people are nice to tell you what's going on. It's never like, oh, I can't tell you because then like you're gonna do better than me. It's never like that. Especially in some of my harder classes, I think the harder the class, the more people want to work together. It's really lonely, I think, to be going through a difficult class by yourself. And some of my favorite people at Emory I've met because I was complaining about a class with them. So it's just nice to have that collaborative, non-competitive atmosphere at Emory that at other schools you might not get, especially in some of the top tier schools. Everybody's just really nice and willing to help you out. Those are like all my pros. I'm gonna go into some cons. It might seem like I have more negative things to say about Emory. I don't hate Emory. I actually really enjoy it. I think it's just because once I start ranting, I like to continue going, and then I get really heated up about the thing, but it's just a couple of points that I want to make in terms of the cons of Emory. The first thing is that Emory is not in Atlanta. Emory is not in Atlanta. I wish I could write that in like big, bold letters. When I was choosing my school, it was really important to me to be in a city vibe. I had grown up in the suburbs all my life, and I was just really dying to be in the city, even if it was just for a couple of years in college. And I knew that like that was what drove me to apply to some of the schools that I did. When I went to Emory and I toured there, they were like, oh, we visit Atlanta all the time, we do all this fun stuff there, like Emory encourages you to like go out and visit it. No, not the case. Emory does not encourage it. Like, I don't believe that. And there are some people, all 4 years of being at Emory, they never really go out into Atlanta and do Atlanta things, and that scares me. They get stuck in the Emory bubble. I feel like part of the experience of going to Emory is being submersed in the culture that's around it. If you look at a map of Atlanta, Emory is outside of the map. Emory is in a town called Decatur, and it's in the Druid Hills region. It's not as close as you think. It's not in Atlanta. If you want to be near Atlanta, near that city vibe, you have to sort of push your way into it. It doesn't just sort of happen onto you in college because it's not in Atlanta. Emory, I think, was annexed into Atlanta, so if you look up like Emory's address, you're sending mail to Atlanta, Georgia. Emory's not in Atlanta, it was annexed into Atlanta. Another thing that I really don't like about Emory is tuition. I think tuition's a problem across the board in US schools. Emory could do a lot better with helping with financial aid and helping with student loans. The one thing that I think is really important is that Emory should have tuition locking. I don't know if that's the proper term for it, but that's what I'm gonna call it. For your freshman year, you get sort of financial aid outline, right? So you get how much your school would give you in terms of financial aid when you wanna attend the school. I think they should lock that and say that for all 4 years, we're gonna give you this amount or more. So they can't decrease that amount. I just think it's unfair that people choose their school based on the cost, because a cost is massive for a private school. Then later you go back on your word and you say, well, this year we're not gonna give you that much. I just can't believe that people have a hard time paying for school, especially at a school with a massive endowment. We can definitely afford to help more students to relieve that debt. I just got really heated about that because I know people personally who have put off, taken semesters off, taken a year off, commuting from home even though it's like an hour away because they can't afford to go to Emory. I just feel like Emory should do more to help with tuition. I'm just gonna leave it at that before I get any more angry. Speaking of funding and Emory's endowment, I think some students were really angry this past year about how Emory spends its money. I have no financial background. I have no idea how finances work. I don't know how a college budget system works. It's clear at Emory, decisively so, which departments get more money, which things have more funding, and it's almost really sad to see the discrepancies. I understand that, you know, when people donate money to a specific department or a specific building or a specific group, like that makes sense, but I think Emory should take into account the students having their needs in the school. I just want to give an example. I had never got into the business school until like the end of my sophomore year, and my mouth literally dropped because the classrooms are beautiful. All of their rooms are completely new. They have such new technology to use for professors, and it's easy for them and for the students. I was even mind blown because I sat in a 3-hour class and like the seats were really nice, and that's just something I noticed. And there was outlets at every seat so that I could use my computer, and I was just like blown away. Because earlier that year, I went to a classroom. I sat in a chair that I thought was pretty decent. It was okay looking. It looked really old, but whatever. And the chair just broke. Like I sat in it and it just crumbled under me. That's just wild. Like I am not a large person. Not that it should matter. Our school should be able to carry seats for people of all sizes. But I can't believe that I broke a chair. The other kid in the class that was there, he saw it and he just nodded. Like he was just like, yeah, I understand. Like, as if it's happened to him before, or he's seen it happen, as if that was normal. Our school should have the basic necessities, like chairs for students. A lot of classrooms that I'm in don't have outlets. I just think that's crazy. We need upgrades. We need them where it matters the most, where the students are gonna be learning, because that's first and foremost the most important part of an academic institution, is like a learning environment, which we lacked completely because I broke a chair. Okay. So now I'm going to get into a section I like to call neutral. I'm not saying that these are neutral to me, but it's good or bad depending on how you view them yourself. So they're opinion based. 1/3 of Emory is involved in Greek life. I don't know how new that statistic is. That's what I heard my freshman year. I don't know, 1/3 sounds like a lot. Think about it, every 3 people you meet, one of them is in Greek life. I, myself, am in Greek life. So a lot of people are in Greek life. I think the good thing about Emory is that there's no stigma around it, so I don't think you're ever looked down upon if you're in Greek life or if you're not in Greek life. There's no stigma around it because the stereotype doesn't really fit. I think, especially considering that we're in the South, we don't take Greek life that seriously to the level that a lot of these big schools do. I think that if Emory was like that, I wouldn't have been involved in Greek life. A lot of the people at Emory are not sucked into their sorority fraternity, and that's what I really enjoy about it. It seems like a lot of people, but it's not held against you if you're not in Greek life, and it's not held against you if you are in Greek life. Emory is not a party school. There are parties happening, not all the time and not that many. Like, you have choices and you have options, but I wouldn't say that you can be picky about it. And a lot of people don't even go to Emory parties. They'll go to like another school, or they will just go to clubs in Atlanta. My overall final rating for Emory in terms of my 3 years of being there is a 4 out of 5 stars, which I don't know about you, I think that's pretty low. And if you think about it, if an Emory student got a 4 out of 5 on something like an exam or a paper, which is literally like an 80%, I think the Emory student would be upset. And I think Emory as an institution should strive to be what they claim to be, so they can do a lot better. I want to say more things, and I think I might say more in another related video. I hope this video gave you some insight into Emory as a school from a student's perspective. Thank you so much for watching. My foot is entirely asleep. Like, I can't move from this position right now, so I'm just gonna wait until it wakes up.